Welcome, folks. We got a great show for you today, so let's jump into it. Irrelevant news. So they were having a conversation about jeans on The View yesterday, and Whoopi said she wanted to buy a pair, and then this happened.
And when you get finished with those jeans and decide you don't like them, give them to me. I'm going to make 2 pairs.
Oh, Barbara.
Okay, so
That's Barbara Cochran from Shark Tank, literally inviting a free-for-all.
Wait. Let me just tell you something.
Yeah.
Sarah Haynes and Jill Biden wore that dress already on TV.
that's not true.
Nothing like live television, huh? Actually, hold on, folks. I take that back because what Meghan Trainor revealed on this podcast is a whole lot crazier.
We just got a new house and we did construction. Nobody knows this, but in our bathroom there was one toilet, and a lot of times in the middle of the night when we're with the baby, like we got to pee at the same time. So I was like, "Can we please have 2 toilets next to each other?" So we.
I don't know why people are so shocked by this, folks. It's common knowledge that a family that poops together stays together.
We got
I'm
2
sorry.
toilets sitting next to
Excuse
each
me.
other, and we've only pooped together twice.
Who flushes first? Because I only see one button.
You looked at a contractor, another adult in the face,
Yes.
and you said, "We need a bathroom with 2 toilets next to each other."
And he
And
laughed
that adult said, "Okay."
He laughed and thought I was joking, and I was like, "No, I'm not joking."
Exactly, folks. Why would anybody in their right minds joke about something as serious as being able to poop holding hands with your loved one? Anyway, the situation ended up getting a lot of attention over the last few days, and Meghan addressed it on Twitter.
To clear things up, we pooped once together, and we laughed and said never again. But he will hang out with me if I'm pooping, because we're soulmates. And I legit miss him when I'm away from him. And we pee together, Avi.
I don't know about you folks, but I'm kind of done with this whole situation. It's way more information than I ever wanted to know about them. And moving on to YouTube, they made a huge announcement yesterday.
YouTube to stop making year-end rewind videos.
Oh no, folks, we're losing YouTube Rewind. How are we supposed to meme on the video that's meant to meme on every single meme that happened that year? I mean, if YouTube Rewind didn't exist, do you think anything even remotely close to this would have ever been produced?
Yeah, it's rewind time.
Will Smith will never give a performance like this ever again.
YouTube says it is not abandoning the project because of the widespread criticism it has received on many recent efforts, but because its platform has become so massive that it is impossible to encapsulate its vastness and diversity within a minutes-long compilation.
I am genuinely so sad, folks. I can't believe the internet will never see moments like this ever again.
K-pop!
The memories we're no longer gonna make together.
You know who really needs to be in this rewind video?
Tell me, Lily Singh, please preach to me. I love it when you do that.
I'm so proud of this community.
I wonder if she's still proud of this community. Anyway, folks, it's kind of sad to see Rewind get canceled like this because even though a couple of the videos weren't the best, at the end of the day, it was something that the entire YouTube community and the internet could come together and use to discuss the events that happened in the last year. Now, of course, it's hard to encapsulate everything that happens on the internet because it's so big and so much is happening all the time. But I do think that it was very successful at capturing at least one corner of the internet. And think of the Rewind memes. What are we going to do without the Rewind memes? And speaking of canceling, Trisha Paytas recently announced that they're canceling their podcast.
This was honestly going to be my last one because I just don't feel, I don't even mouth. I don't feel motivated to do much these days, and it's mostly out of anxiety.
I'm sorry to hear that, Trisha, but just one quick question. What were you doing over here? You really couldn't have edited that out? Takes literally 2 seconds. And in more Trisha Paytas news, Tana Mojo explained why the episode of her podcast with Trisha got removed.
Everyone keeps coming for me on this. People keep flagging it, so it got removed. It's still up on Spotify. I never deleted it.
I think I know exactly who did it, folks. His name starts with Snitch and it ends with Star. He's known for reporting a lot of stuff, allegedly. And speaking of reporting, apparently photos posted by James Charles, Jeffree Star, and Austin McBroom to Instagram got this animal handler in trouble with the feds.
Jeffree Star, James Charles, monkeying around gets feds on animal handler's ass.
You know, this picture says a lot, especially when you consider the contrast of James Charles having a huge smile on his face and the baboon looking like he's about to lose his shit.
Jeffree Star, James Charles, Austin McBroom, and other influencers got way too close with a couple of monkeys, at least according to federal authorities who've reprimanded the animal's handler for allowing it.
Don't get me wrong, folks, this is pretty messed up, but I feel like there are other things that James Charles has done that the feds could have been looking at. Anyway, folks, moving on from James Charles to the guy who thought he needed a slice of humble pie the size of the Empire State Building, Shane Dawson. He recently returned to YouTube after not posting for nearly 2 years.
Hi. I learned piano during my break. Kidding, I didn't learn anything. No, I learned a lot about myself. Oof. Hi. I don't know how to do this. I haven't filmed a video in almost 2 years.
I mean, that's pretty understandable, especially when you consider that the last video he posted before his break was an apology that only ended up making things worse for him. Anyway, folks, Shane later talked about his return to YouTube while giving a tour of his new house in Colorado.
This was here when we went to the open house, and I loved it, but I never actually read it. Like, I didn't actually read it, and then, like, after we moved in, I saw PewDiePie made a video making fun of it.
In this house, we laugh a lot. Dude, I would be like, all right, done. This house is not for me.
PewDiePie does understand that you can take stuff off walls, right? Hopefully. I hope he does.
In this house, we laugh a lot, we count our blessings, we say, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. Don't worry, I'll get to that.
Oh, gosh.
We make mistakes? Uh-huh. Yes, we do.
I don't really know how to react to this section. It's so awkward.
We forgive quickly. How about you get to that?
Good luck with that, Shane. The internet isn't really known for being a forgiving place, especially Twitter. They don't let go of anything.
Back to TikTok, and literally, like, I loved it for a week, and then I got canceled, and I couldn't go on it anymore. Because it was like, every time I'd swipe, it would be like, ba-da, and then I'd swipe up, and it'd be like, Shane Dawson needs to kill himself. And I'm like, all right, well, let's just get back to that whip.
Well, that's TikTok for you. That and people lip-syncing iPhone ringtones. Am I the only one getting videos like that on my For You page? It's kind of freaking me out. Anyway, later on in the video, Shane addresses this whole cancellation in a more serious manner, and here's a few highlights from that.
I had made a lot of growth before I got canceled. The last 5 or 6 years, in and out of therapy, dealing with stuff, I feel like I grew as a person. I feel like I learned a lot. I would never say or do any of those jokes, any of those things ever that I did back then.
Well, good for you, Shane, but at the end of the day, folks, I don't think anybody has any choice whether or not they could actually get away with doing jokes like that nowadays. But to be honest with you, jokes like that have always been unacceptable. I mean, people like Francesca Ramsey called out Shane Dawson years ago and got attacked by his fans for doing it. And you can even go as far back as 2014 when Zachary Quinto literally removed his name from a project with Shane Dawson because he didn't agree with the content. This whole thing of, oh yeah, racist jokes were okay back in the day, they were never okay. The only reason why somebody did blackface was because they wanted to be edgy. They wanted to do what other people wouldn't do. They wanted to be offensive because at one point, the only way that some people could be funny was if they were offensive. But folks, I feel like over the last few years, society in general has learned that you don't need to be offensive to be funny. In fact, it's way funnier if you can be relatable.
It was a weird thing where, like, I felt like I got to a place where I was proud of what I was making on YouTube, proud of my personal life, proud of who I was becoming. Like, I felt like I was growing up and I was excited about the next chapter, and then it felt like everything spiraled down, and then I got canceled.
If Shane Dawson's story means anything, it's that you can't run from your past, and the person that you were may not necessarily be the person who you currently are, but no matter how much you change, you will never be able to divorce yourself from who you once were, especially on the internet, which, much like an elephant, never forgets.
Part of me was upset because I was like, I made so much growth, and now I'm being canceled over things from the past, and that's not me anymore. But that forced me to really not just push things away and really face everything head on and realize that that was me and that is me, but I can learn from it.
Well, thank goodness that Shane Dawson learned from all of this. I mean, can you imagine if he made a comeback video in blackface while kissing a 13-year-old fan? The internet would have completely fallen apart.
And I feel like I'm so happy it happened, so grateful that I got canceled. Because it really changed my life. It showed me what I care about. It showed me what matters. It showed me I don't need to be on YouTube all the time. I don't need to be stressed about what's next. I don't need to be trying to think of the next idea, the next whatever, to be happy.
It's good to see Shane Dawson talking about something like this because this is actually something that a lot of creators struggle with. It can be the source of a lot of anxiety. And honestly, I often feel like there's a little bit of a stigma around creators admitting that they don't want to be creative all the time or that they want to prioritize other things because there's such a hustle mindset around creator culture and just being a creative person in general. You constantly feel like you have to be pumping things out, and social media algorithms do a great job at reinforcing that mindset. And it goes without saying that even beyond the algorithms, just the fact that you can see what everybody's doing all the time can already be anxiety inducing just by comparing that someone else is doing way more than you, and that makes you want to create more. So overall, it's not really something that a lot of people are willing to admit.
Yeah, I'm not going to run from my past, but I'm also not going to stay in it. Like, I'm not just going to live in there because that I've already come to terms with, and I feel like it would be unhealthy for me to just constantly Think about it.
Look, if somebody's constantly living in the past, then they're not living in the present. And if they're not living in the present, they're not taking the lessons from the past and using it to evolve into the future. And I think that we should all want people to evolve past their past selves into better future selves. And now, palate cleanser.